Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Yes, we were live last week for the New Year's party, but this is our actual first live of 2024. And I'm really thrilled that you're taking some time for yourself and for your goals and joining us. I'm Debra Eckerling. I'm author of Your Goal Guide and creator of the Deb Method for Goal Setting Simplified. You can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. So every week I bring in 3 of my people to dive into the topic of the week. And then on Thursday, it magically becomes an episode of the Deb Show podcast on the Marketing Podcast Network. So whether you're watching us live or the replay or listening to us, we are so glad you're here. Joining us to talk about something that's really important, personal goals. It's not just about that brass ring for your business, although it is important. We need to find that elusive work-life balance, and especially at the beginning of the year. Okay, I do talk about goals year-round, but this time of year, everybody's talking about goals. I want to make sure you are embracing not just your professional aspirations for the new year, but the personal ones as well. And like I said, stellar panel today. We have Erik Fisher, who I've known for years through social media life, and we figured it's been like 5 years since we've seen each other in real or online life. And he's, among other things, the host of Beyond the ToDo List podcast. So of course we need to have him here chiming into the conversation. Nona Prather, who I met through our friends at the GEM meetup, and she is not only is she a booking agent for speakers, but she's an RVer. So talk about really embracing the life part of work-life balance. And Michaele Weissman, who I recently interviewed on Taste Buds with Deb, is the author of the Rye Bread Marriage, and she just embodies, blending all parts of her lives together. So life. You knew what I meant. Right. So wonderful panel today. And I would love for them all to introduce themselves a little bit better, other than the fact that you know that they're awesome and they're great on personal goals. So Erik, let's start with you. Who are you and why are you here?
Well, I'm here because you asked me, but there's a deeper question or answer to that question. My name is Erik Fisher. I am the host and producer of Beyond the ToDo List. It's a podcast focused on productivity and getting not just more done, but getting the right things done. I've been doing the show since August of 2012. So if you're counting, we're now in year. Well, if you're doing it birthday wise, we finished 11 years. We're in the 12th year, so to speak. So we'll be celebrating 12 years later this year. Crazy to think about doing and I've done other podcasts, but those are my passions. I mean, you can kind of see there's geeky stuff maybe in the dark corner and shelf behind me, but for the most part, my life is hanging out with my friends, my family, but then online, it is all about productivity, social media, and especially podcasting.
and I think I tried to have you on last year and I got crickets from LinkedIn. Now we know, just message you on Facebook. But you had posted, my goal this year is to be on more podcasts. And it was, I love how, and we get a little bit freaked out at how well the algorithm knows us. But I think this is like score one for the algorithm showing it.
Score one for goals, because this is the 4th show I've been on this year already, and we're recording this live on the 8th of January. So winning streak.
Definitely score one for goals. And it's really when you put the things that you want out there, case in point, they're more likely to happen. I know It's more to it than that, but yes. Really nice baseline of that. Wonderful. Nona, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much. Yep, I am Nona Prather. I'm a booking agent for professional speakers, authors, consultants. And I started this journey a very long time ago, whenever I was only 8 years old, because my dad is a professional speaker. And so I remember when he quit his job and decided he wanted to be a professional speaker. And it really became like my whole family helping me, my stepmom, my brother. It became like we were answering phones, we were sending phone calls, emails, faxes, mailings in the mail. And so I didn't think I would grow up and continue in this life. And actually, I was working a corporate job for a long time until 3 years ago. And that's kind of when I decided to get out of the rat race and and achieve some of my personal goals, which was one of them was living full time in an RV and being able to travel, which we now do for the last 3 years. So yeah, that had a big part to do with it. And last year was able to get my book out. So that was a goal that I was able to accomplish last year. So it's been a lot of changes the last 3 years, but I'm loving what I'm doing now.
And you were telling us in the pre-show you went skiing today for
Yes.
2 hours prior to the show. I mean, talk about your balance.
Yeah, we live in a RV park that's right across from the ski resort. And so we can, on a lunch break, we can go for a couple runs on our lunch break, which was a part of getting out of the rat race and having to just be at work all day for 8 to 10 hours a day, which is, I was at work like 10 hours a day before. And now I can do calls in the morning, do calls in the evenings, and go skiing in the middle. Yeah, one of the biggest goals of my life to achieve. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and balance really is what you make of it. So
Yeah.
I think that is fantastic. Michael.
Well, I think I'm probably less organized than the rest of you because I'm a writer and I've got that fuzzy headed thing that kind of walks around going, oh my God, oh my God. And then I have the other action oriented part of myself that has learned over the years to master the fuzzy headed person. But I would say that goals and organization, well, in some ways have come to me slowly, although there's a thing about writing or doing dinner parties, because the other thing that I do is, of course, I am the author, by the way, of my 4th book is called The Rye Bread Marriage, and I write about food and family and complicated psychological and all kinds of interesting and I hope sometimes funny things. But there's a piece of me that is extremely organized because if you're writing a book or making a dinner party within that organization, I kind of was born knowing how to put things together and focus. But then there was the other piece of me that was kind of overwhelmed and terrified by all the other. You can't just focus on one beautiful goal or even one whole book. You have to also live your life and you have to pay your bills and you have to earn some money. And that has been a challenge for me all my life. And, but in that sense, maybe my relationship to goals is even more intimate and passionate and grateful because I've learned over time to just have 3 things on the top of my list and to make them all happen and then take 3 more things because that's what works for me.
Awesome. And I put in and I'll put this in the recap. If you go to thedebmethod.com/blog, you will see the recap and the links and all sorts of things. But when I interviewed you on Taste Buds with Deb, what you gave me for the recipe was like a layered salad because you love the salad course and how conducive it is to having a long first course to conversation. So lots of fun. The other part with being a writer, which I beyond relate to, is we need to be creative and we need to be structured, especially nonfiction authors, because you have to put all the ducks in a row. We've got our StreamYard duck puddles here joining us today, but it's really a matter of putting everything in place, making a plan, and turning your life into reality. And it's true whether you're an RVer or your social media and your productivity expert or writer, or really any kind of consultant, busy professional, etc. You need to figure out what balance is for yourself and then live it. So we'll start with the easy question. Might not be so easy for everybody, but what are personal goals? What is your definition? Erik, do you want to start us out?
Sure. So, I mean, for me, personal goals, it's funny, we're recording this in the first week of January, and this is, probably a lot of people have already dropped off of their New Year's resolutions. I don't make resolutions. I just don't. And I think a lot of other people start to cringe when they hear that phrase, and they've kind of come more into the realm of the acceptable terminology for basically the same thing, which is setting goals for the new year. And it's this time of year is weird, and I don't love it because there's the whole we got to close the year strong. That's all November, December talk. And then there's you've got to kick off the new year great and kill everything, kill all your goals, not kill them all, but like you got to kill it this year and you got to achieve everything. And it's like, you got to look backwards and see what worked, and you got to look forwards and dream big and set everything up. And it's like, that's a lot of pressure for just an arbitrary turning of the calendar page, when honestly, we're all busy at the end of the year. No matter what we're doing or who we're doing things with, we're doing more things then because of the holidays. And so where does all this time come, this extra time come that I need in order to spend time on myself? So I like to think of personal goals as something that's a rolling thing, and constantly, like whether you're checking in every quarter and seeing where you're at with things, and you just keep rolling quarter by quarter, and you maybe do monthly check-ins or weekly check-ins. It's all about incremental, and it's personal. And again, the rolling flexibility of, getting back on the horse, in other words, over and over again. But it's about that, there's the incremental. It's laying a brick and another brick and another brick till you have the house. And hopefully it's the house you wanted.
Well, and I'm completely with you, and I'm sure you do this as well. I start the new year in December to give people a running start in the new year. And I do new year, new you topics in December. Yes, I said that right. As well as in January, because everybody else does. But it's not just about ending the year strong, starting the new year strong. It's keeping in mind what you're trying to accomplish on a rolling basis. So I am completely with you. What would you define, though, as a personal goal?
So like a specific goal for myself.
Yes.
Is what you're saying. Yeah. For me, my health is a personal goal right now. I know that going in 2019, I was making a lot of headway. At that point, I believe I was at the healthiest I ever was, other than college. I had finally gotten back more towards where I wanted to be and needed to be. There was still more work to be done. And 2020 kind of derailed that and kind of has kept things in, limbo. I've made very minor improvements. So, and I could say, well, it's weight, or it's, dropping, losing weight, or it's feeling better overall, or being more momentum driven in terms of physical activity. For me, the goal really does come down to every day that I do physical activity and don't stay up too late and get enough sleep. It's kind of those two things. That's the goal and those are two things that, like, if you get off a little bit, you can jump right back on. You can take a nap. You can make sure you get to bed a little earlier, or you take, certain supplements, or, oh, I didn't walk yesterday. Okay, well, I'll walk twice today, just shorter, so I don't wear myself out, or stand at the desk. So my health overall and my feeling of well-being, and there's certain metrics to that, but that is my specific personal goal.
Got it. And you're right. I think it's much easier, but it doesn't feel much easier to get back on the horse with personal goals as it does with the professional ones, because they're more what I call lifestyle goals related, rather than specific project, what you are building. But what you are building is a healthy you. So good answer. Good answer. Nona, what about you? How do you define personal goals?
Yeah, I'm actually glad Erik went first, because I probably would have hopped in with my business goals for the year. But so personal goals are a little bit, for me, I don't know, maybe because I feel selfish sometimes about them or something, I don't readily do them as quickly as I do. So I can think of a list of things that I want for my business this year that I'm working on, and I have several specific goals there. But then as far as personal goals, honestly, it's just, I do want to enjoy life more. And part of that is like keeping the house picked up, like we live in a tiny little space, 240 square feet. So it's like keeping the counters picked up as much as possible. My desk right now is a mess. So, that just made me think of those personal goals as like me and my husband kind of set for ourselves to be able to enjoy life. We kind of need things in order for us to be able to enjoy life. We're not, we need things, I don't know, just picked up more, is probably one of the big ones. And then also I kind of have a goal that I started several months ago. I'm at like 60 days without any alcohol. And I wasn't an alcoholic or anything, but I just felt like I probably was, especially being in Colorado, New Mexico. There's a lot of really good beer here. And it was just starting to, I was noticing myself drinking just a little too much, which was not good for my health. I'm type 1 diabetic, so I have to watch my health too. And that's just not good for me to do. So I plan to continue as a personal goal to continue the whole rest of the year without alcohol and see how far I can go without it. So anyways, that's probably my biggest personal goal of the year, is to just keep staying off alcohol. I think it's better for me.
And so for you, personal goals are like quality of life goals.
Yeah, it's not like I tend to, whenever someone asks about a goal, I always think business wise, and I never think about what are my personal ones. And then you made me think of, I was like, actually, I have set some personal goals. I just haven't really said them out loud.
And that's why I think it's so important to have this kind of conversation, because everybody is, and we'll call back to what Erik said. Yes, everybody calls them resolutions, whether or not you do them. Resolutions, goals, intentions, things you're planning to do.
Right.
It's all the same thing, and it's all for the betterment of the life you want. But it's really easy for the personal goals to slip through the cracks, which is why it's even more important to highlight them.
Yes.
So, Michael.
Okay. So my goal, so my very personal and lifestyle goal you're talking about is, I am a swimmer and I walk regularly. I'm really, 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 really good at the aerobic. But one of my goals for this year, and I'm working on it, is to do half an hour of stretching and yoga a day. Because if you sit at your desk and you're getting older, which we all are, even though I seem to have gotten there a little bit faster, you really better be doing your stretching, and I really better be doing my stretching, or I'm just not going to enjoy the writing, because everything's going to hurt. And especially because I'm a swimmer and my left shoulder, and my personal like body goal for the year is definitely to be more regular about stretching and yoga. And I have this program that I do online, and so I can do a half an hour a day. And the guy who does it, I want to kill him. I mean, really, if I hear his voice one more time, I'm just gonna but it helps me. So I'm really trying to work very hard at that goal. My other goals are definitely professional, to keep my book moving forward and to get really launched on the next book, but also to manage work and family effectively. Because since the Rye Bread Marriage came out in August, the middle of August, I've been really busy, and so I noticed that children and grandchildren and friends, and how am I going to? It's so odd that I am like a young working mother again, in the sense that if I'm not very mindful, the pieces don't work right. And of course, it's really important to me to be a member of this family and a loving member. And I have little grandchildren who are so yummy, and I don't want to miss. And yet, I don't want to miss this later in life professional opportunity either. So it's funny, I wasn't even thinking about the show, but I was thinking about what has to go off, what I drop, what I have always done that I drop, in order to keep my, right, promote, stay in loving relationship with my friends, which often means cooking and having people gather around, and also my family. And so there are things that I've just dropped, things that I've always done. I am not stepping up when people say, can you, do this act of charity, or this act of, social awareness, or go. I'm not going to protest. A lot of, I'm just living a personal life, a private life and a professional life, because that is the best that I can do right now. And this is after a lifetime of really feeling it was really, really, really important to be a mentor and to be a this and to be a that and to be community oriented. And I may be again, but I've had to say, okay, this system is not going to work unless I am making choices. So I have to tell you one thing though, that is interesting, because people don't usually make work goals like going into the holidays, but we had Christmas, Hanukkah was postponed this year. So we were I had some time in mid to late December. And I wrote a list and I said, there are 4 things that I'm going to get done. And I did it. Gosh darn it. I got them all done before. And the writing pieces of that, it really gave me a boost. It was like a jump start. Wow, look at you, kiddo. And I feel like I wrote fast because I had these goals. And I feel like that was actually very creativity inducing, instead of I have to have the perfect word, because I am a bit of a perfectionist. But so I feel like I'm starting off this year with.
You're starting with wins.
Yeah, I am. I'm really pleased. I'm really happy about that.
And one thing that you just mentioned, which I think I'm going to ask for some buy-in or thoughts from the rest of the panel, is the heart of achieving goals is seeing what you can get rid of so you can prioritize the time. I frequently say, when you say no to other things that aren't serving you, you're saying yes to yourself. And then you give someone else an opportunity to say yes to the thing that you're turning down. So what do you do, Erik, for prioritizing?
Well, that's a great question. I think that it's got to fit. A thing is like, so I think what you're describing is the opportunity cost is, I mean, and what's funny is, I go back to the geekiness of things. There's this thread, or there's been this perpetual motion of people talking about multiverse things, where there's an alternate universe version of me. And it's like, so every time you make a choice, you become the person that's moving forward in the line, the yes you took. And then there's all these other ones where the no you gave and you said yes to something else. It's like you have one yes to give and it's no to everything else. Like right now, I'm sitting here talking with you. I'm not, I don't even know where my phone is. It's not here. I left it away from me and put myself on Do Not Disturb. That was a choice. And so it's that opportunity cost. And it's about knowing, honestly, the only way you really can understand that opportunity cost and that in knowing which things you're going to give your yes to is by doing a lot of that internal checking in with yourself. Self-awareness is one of the phrases we use on my show all the time, including a mailbag episode that came out today. I think it came up in every single question we answered. And if you're not spending continual time with that self-awareness, not in a, oh no, I have to check in on myself and make sure I'm doing okay. No, it's checking in with yourself. It's a relationship with yourself. It's not a business thing. I think I wanted to call this out. One of the things that I noticed is all the personal goals we were talking about, they're work goals too. They affect the work.
Oh, yeah.
Like my health, spending time with family, all these different things that we said, all of those, the stretches, Michael, you even called it out right there. And I wanted to say something. I didn't want to interrupt you though, is that you were making sure you do the yoga and the stretching so that you can do the work without sitting there in pain. So I don't know if that answers the question, but it's a continual choice, and only by continually making it do you realize it's the right or wrong thing. But no choice is wrong per se if you then learn from that and then do the right yes next.
Absolutely. And yes, you did answer the question. And as people as people probably know, so the D and the Deb method is determine your mission. So when you know who you are and what you're all about, it makes it easier to discern what, we don't like to use the word should, but what should be a yes versus what it's okay to pass on. So what is in alignment versus what's going to take from you. And I'm also really glad that you called out the personal goals make your professional life better because it makes you healthier, happier, more enthusiastic. When you're finding your joy in one aspect of your life, is going to leak onto the professional side for sure. Oh, Nona.
Yeah. So priority. Yeah.
Yes, the priority question.
Yeah, well, I was going to add on what Erik said, whenever I didn't think about it being a professional goal too, but yeah, you're right. Like, because I can see my sink from right here, if it is full of dishes, it is so distracting, and that's all I can think about when I
Right.
really need to be focusing on the person I'm talking to or what I'm doing. It's a huge distraction. So yeah, that really does all tie in together. But for me, priorities, I mean, first family, of course, getting what my daughter needs, and then I work on myself and my husband, and then business is up there, but it's not the end all be all. I mean, I'm trying to be as successful as possible, but my number one goal is to make me, my child, my family happy. And so I hope I'm doing that right. But I've got also on priorities, if I don't have something on my calendar, I will forget. So like keeping up with my calendar is always a huge priority for me. Like I check it every morning, every evening. And I know it probably sounds like that's a lot, but actually it does free my mind up to be able to do other things if I keep my calendar a priority, because then I know what I've got for the next day, for the next week. I have a team meeting with everyone that works with me every single Monday morning. So we had our team meeting this morning at 8 a.m. and we talk about what do we have for this week? What are we going to do? Who are we meeting with? Who's our next client possibly that we need to work with? What kind of stuff? And then we talk about like what's going to be on the newsletter next. Like it really helps to have organization for me, especially with my calendar, to keep my priorities straight. And then like one of the things I'm working on a second book this year, and I've already started writing it and got like a quarter of a way through it. If I don't have that on my calendar, like if I set it a priority, like that's one of those things that I don't particularly enjoy writing, probably like Michael does. I don't particularly enjoy writing, but I know I need to do it, and I know I'm pretty good at it once I set my mind to it, but I just have to make it a priority and actually put it on my calendar so that I can do it and be like, okay, this is your hour of book writing this today. This is your hour of making up those follow-up calls. This is your hour of meeting with the new client. This is your hour with doing that. And so I just, yeah, my calendar helps me keep my priorities straight too. So
I love that, because if it's not on the calendar, it just doesn't get done and or it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to Cliff Ravenscraft, who has been a multiple guest on the show watching live. Yo, it is Erik Fisher. We are all saying hello back to you, Cliff. We hope your year is off to a wonderful start. If you are watching live, say hello. Maybe share one of your goals for the year so we can cheer you on. So we love the tool of the calendar, and I know Erik loves tools in particular. Do you have a tool or hack that you want to share for keeping those personal goals top of mind?
That is a great question. Just the ones that just the ones normally that everybody's using. I would say, let's go with the journaling app. Day one is one where you check in with, again, like I said earlier, it's not about checking in with yourself as a homework assignment. It's a log book. It's not a diary. It is although you can share your feelings, it's about thoughts too. But any journaling app that'll work for you, even pen and paper or an actual journal, analog, as we would say, you can go with that. And, but yeah, having certain prompts that you just kind of come back to, fairly regularly, that's kind of the way that you check in. Again, that's how you check in with those yeses versus those nos. You can kind of gauge where you feel you're at, not just in terms of progress, but how you feel about that progress or what you're thinking about that progress. And often, this is almost like self-accountability. You definitely don't want to discount actual account. It's not accountability. I shouldn't say actual accountability is real people. No, you can be accountable to yourself. But what I'm saying is this is actual accountability on a solo level versus a group level. So any journal or journaling app, key.
Yes. I am so with you. Journaling I spoke for the International Association of Journal Writers toward the end of the year because I love journaling that much. It's the whole brainstorming part of the process is huge. And I'm actually going to combine what you said with what Nona just said, because I'm all for keeping a win list like in a journal document. But what I found works even better is every day at 6 o'clock, my calendar reminds me to write down my wins for the day. And I'll write it in, and then I will set the calendar for the next day and the next day. And it's much more effective. And I love the Google Doc, but I am human. And it is much easier to be tracking the wins when you get not just the reminder, but the reminder has a place where you're going to be writing that stuff down. So huge fan of calendars, huge fan of journaling. Michael, are you going to agree with me too inadvertently? What is your favorite tool for keeping things straight in your life?
You know, we have to say that I'm a different breed of cat here. You know, I am the creative and the fuzzy headed. And I have come to organization actually, and I do it rather well now, but it's so not native. And so, no, I'd say my tool is, when I had a young child, I realized one day that I could not be two places at once. And that if I tried to be two places at once, I was really going to screw up. That's what I try to keep in mind. I need to be one place. I need to be working from, say, 8:30 to 1. I need to swim, like between 3 and 5. And if I start fudging about the truth about this, either, I can help my friend blah, 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 blah with her, blah, 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 and I can get this writing done. No, I can't, because I can only be one place at a time. People would, I often say to people who are really organized, I'm coming back as you in my next life. So I'm coming back as you all in my next life. But this works for me. It works like, okay, I want my day full, but I don't want to pretend I'm schizophrenic, because I don't do that real well. So that's,
yeah, I think that first of all, good answer. And you can't be two places. It really ties into everything we're talking about. You can't be two places at once. You can't do everything. You can't say yes to everyone and still say yes to yourself.
That's right.
And which leads to, and I kind of think it's an obvious question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What stops people from not just setting, but achieving their personal goals? What do you think are the biggest pitfalls people face when it comes to that? Nona?
Oh, I was going to say, being afraid, being like, whenever I do reels or I get up on stage and speak in front of an audience, and then I have so many just friends and people who know me who say, I can't believe that you know how to do that, or that you can do that. You just get up there and you make it look easy. And the truth is, I'm terrified before I get up there every time. But fear holds people back. And honestly, you're not going to grow. Like when we were skiing today, was I a little scared to go down that new trail that just opened that looked a little scary? Yeah, but if you don't ever do anything that scares you, then how are you supposed to grow as a person? So I think fear is definitely the number one holding back of anyone who from achieving their goals. They let it hold them back, and they just don't go out and do it.
Love that. Podcast listeners, I am nodding. This is
right.
Awesome and so true. Michael, what do you think?
I said me too. I'm nodding too.
What pitfalls do people face?
Well, all right, since it wasn't really my turn, but
no, it's your turn.
Okay. What I would say, on top of what Nona just said, is that so hidden inside of that fear is self-loathing.
Mhm.
and the not loving yourself.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, to say that that the real goal for all of us who want to live rich lives is to learn how to love ourselves in a way, to learn, not the, oh, I'm so fabulous way, but in the real deep way where you can believe in yourself. And it's a lifelong work. And fear manifests itself as one aspect of the not loving. And there are so many. And there's the other one is the green-eyed envy, that they have that and I don't, because poor me. There's so many. I mean, I've lived every one of those techniques, and I just work on them. I've been working on, sometimes I think that I'm like, I don't know if anybody knows that in English literature, there was this book from the 18th century called Pilgrim's Progress. And that's me. I'm Pilgrim's Progress. I'm just working at it. And what's amazing is it gets better. It really does. You work at it, it gets better. Right, Nona?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The more you do it, the better you do. I mean, yeah, you just ripping the Band-Aid off and then it gets better and better. And then you're like, what was I so afraid of?
Right. And
Why
then
did I not think I was worthy when I actually am? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, Erik, what do you think?
I think, well, I'm also nodding, but and people watching can see that, but people hearing need to hear that too. I am nodding exactly right there with you. Fear is the thing. And I think it's beyond that too. I think even before the fear, we just honestly live potentially complacent lives where we're just like, we don't consider that the options are even there to do any of the things. Like, it's not that we don't want to do things, we just don't even think that it's a possibility. It's not even an option to choose a yes to. And one of the people that's been on my show a lot, John Acuff, his more recent two books, one that was first by him, and then he also wrote a version with his two grown-ish late high school, early college daughters, was all about this theme of soundtracks and the inner thoughts that play in our minds, and switching that playlist up to be something else that's not self-sabotaging.
Yes, because whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. And it does start with that decision. My big thing with what I do in my book is it's like you have a choice, whether changes by choice or by circumstance. You don't need to get caught up in your head. This is a way for you to do that, the self-work, to figure out, okay, in my perfect life, what does that look like? Okay, what am I about? What do I need to do? And how do I get there? And I'm all about goal setting simplified, because people overcomplicate their lives, but it really just starts with taking one step and then another step and then another step. So we've talked about, and I feel like I want to give you all an opportunity to share your professional goals, because I know you're all working on awesome things this year. So before we go into gifting goals to the audience, I would love to hear what you all are working on and prioritizing this year. So, Erik?
Oh.
Sure, I'll go first. So my thought, I think I already shared a little bit, was the idea of this being the fourth podcast that I've been a guest on now already this year, just by putting something out there last year, late at the end of the year, saying, hey, I run a show, I have guests all the time, but I'd love to guest more.
Uh-oh, did he freeze?
I think Erik froze, which is why we love live so much, and he is back.
Oh.
I don't know what just happened.
I don't know. You were like this. It was really great.
Yeah, it was a great pose. So if you're listening, go check the replay around 40-minute mark.
Yes.
Anyway, guesting more on podcasts.
Yes, so that's one goal. I've been thinking of, do I want to have a goal number for that? And I'm thinking I kind of want to try and go for like, okay, let's see if I can't average one a week. There will be some weeks where there'll be more and some weeks where there'll be less, but 52 is a nice number. And hey, I've already hit January in the first week and a half, so full steam ahead.
I love that. And that's another thing too. that overshoot. You know, what
Right.
one personal goal that we haven't really talked about, but that I think, you know, really spans is networking, because it enhances your personal and your professional lives. And I always say, you know, set your networking goals for the month, and then when you hit it, you could do more or you could take a breath. So another power to getting ahead, but also giving yourself a number to strive for, that even if you get close or if you surpass, it's all worth celebrating. So awesome. Great. Yay. Michael,
Yes.
what you said you've got another book you're working on. Is that
Yeah.
your main goal for the year?
Well, no, well, they're double, and I'm starting a Substack. So, you know, that's definitely a goal, but that goal is interconnected with the next book, because I can do pieces of the next book in the Substack. And so I can be sort of, in a sense, all of my goals can be moving forward at the same time. I can be writing, I can be promoting my book, I can be working on the next book, and that can work sort of through that Substack. And I think that, so that, yeah, that's definitely my professional goal. And then to really stay focused on the limited number of things that I expressed earlier, because it's just crucial. Because I think if you get overwhelmed, it just sets you back. Or it certainly sets me back. If I get overwhelmed, then I just kind of fall down, and then I lie on the ground and I'm screaming and crying, you know, figuratively speaking, and then I have to pick myself up, and then that takes a long time. And if you can stay moderate steady, you know, I'm never going to be steady all the time, but just moderately steady and not have these collapses, I can just keep moving. But well, actually, I was going to say one more thing, but I think that's going to be the gift that I'm going to give to the other people.
Okay, you had one more thing to say in terms of what goal you're gifting or what goal you're doing? Because
well,
gifting is next.
Yeah, I'm going to wait till the gifting. I'd say the thing that I want to gift them, I've gifted myself. But so I'd rather say it as a gift.
So we'll circle back to that in a minute.
Right.
The suspense. Nona.
Oh gosh, I have so many professional goals this year. So I am working on my second book, which is actually different than my first book. My first book was about how to get paid to speak and how to make money as a professional speaker, which is kind of like a how-to guide on how to create a speaking business, based off of my growing up with my dad and what I've, you know, working for a speaker bureau for 8 years and then now running my own agency for over 3 years. But now my second book is about being type 1 diabetic and how I learned a lot about being a responsible person, and I had to grow up really early and stuff by being able to, you know, taking care of myself. And that's another thing, if people say, I can't believe you do all these things and you're type 1 diabetic. I mean, I had a child, everything like that. So my first goal is to get my book out there this year, which I just recently asked my dad to also help me write, because I figured having me, myself, and then a parent view might really make a really good book. And I've already been asked to speak at my second diabetic event as a keynoter. So those are some personal, professional goals. But then for my business as a booking agent, because I do represent 14 speakers currently, but I can comfortably represent 30. So I would love to have, you know, about 16 more clients that I'm regularly working with and booking. And then let's see what else. I've got so many business. Oh, and I'm working on a small scale seminar to hopefully happen one day in May. I just started planning that with my team. So I'm going to start doing small scale seminars as well. And I want to be on more podcasts too. I loved being on podcasts and networking events and stuff like that. I just feel like there's, you know, getting in front of people and talking to everyone. This is one of the things that I tell all of my speakers. Don't just go in, do the talk, and then leave. Like they're not there to you're not just there to entertain. You're there to help be sociable and meet everyone and network and stuff like that. Because if you just go in, fly in for the day, do your 1 hour talk, and then leave, you're just leaving so many connections on the table. And there's a lot of speakers that do that. So all of my clients know that if I send them somewhere, it's a day fee. It's not there. And I want you to network so that way we can have spinoff and we can build, because we're trying to build my business, their business, everyone. So yeah, be like, it's kind of ties back to some of the like what Michael said, like be present in the time, or like Erik said, turning off his phone, like be present in the time. Like when you go to an event, be present there and be there for them. It's not all about you. So yeah, more opportunities to be at conferences for me would be great as well. Yeah.
And that's true. Going back to being mission based, it's
Mhm.
really, what do you do? What makes you unique? And how do you help? And it can be to inform, it can be to educate, it could be to entertain, it could be all the above. But we are all here for a purpose. And the purpose today is to really inspire people, say, whatever your personal goals are, they're within your reach. You just need to make it a priority.
Mhm.
And that doesn't even take that much. It's just a little time. It all adds up. And I think this leads really into goals to gift our audience. So what is one goal that you want to gift that anyone listening or watching can do today, tonight, tomorrow to really get and or stay on track with their personal goals? And Michael, I know you're so excited, so why don't you go first?
Okay. Well, the goal I would urge people beyond networking, which is bringing new people into your orbit. What I have done this year, and what I really urge people to do, is to find that core, their core group, whether it's a writing group that you create. That's one of the things that I did, or the people at your publisher who really like you and want to go the extra mile. But find that core group who want to support you, who like you, and be, and want to be there for you. And then let them know how much you appreciate them, and be generous towards them as you want them to be generous to you, because the whole thing will work. The system will work. And it is so much easier to move forward when you do have a little, you have a group of people who are really on your team, and you haven't just networked them to ask them for a favor. I mean, I really believe in making new relationships and all that, but these are people who know you and care about you and that are on your team. And I urge everybody to find those people. And one other thing, then I'll shut up. And if you don't have a group of them, now this is one organization thing I have done a lot of, then start your own group.
Yeah.
Find it that way. Create a group. Ask people if they want to be in your writing group, in your self-help group, in your in your goal group.
I will also put in the comments, if you are on Facebook, please join the Write On Online Facebook group. Every day there's a new opportunity to share what you're working on, including your networking goals. My favorite is Toot Your Horn Thursday, because it gives you a chance to brag on what you did awesome this week. But I say it's goal setting, productivity, and community, because it's a way to uplift. But definitely by identifying the people in your life who you all want to elevate each other, definitely put time, care, and feeding into that, because that way everybody grows. So do both. Join one, start one, all the above. Great goals. Love that. And Pam Barraway is tuning in from the East Coast, and she wrote, a core group is vital both professionally and for life in general. Absolutely. And I will add, Pam is someone who I know, when I had my GoalChat Twitter chat for 5 years, which I sunsetted about a year ago, we became friends because she was showing up to that community every week and got to know each other that way. And we actually talked on the phone and caught up today. So you never know when those online connections get to become real life friends. And it's by prioritizing that you are able to nurture, develop those relationships. So, Erik, what goal do you wish to gift?
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say I gift everybody. I wish I could literally just give it to you. No, it's not a magic wand, but it can be in some senses. I want to gift everybody a personal goal of not just getting more sleep, but better sleep, whether that's actually learning how to take naps, whether that's getting to bed earlier, whether that's getting up later, whether that's discovering you're more of a morning person or a night person to better accommodate that, whether that's also just getting better quality sleep, more and better sleep overall. That's the goal. And there's a lot of ways to go about it, as you can see.
I
Yeah.
love that. And would you believe next week's episode is on dreams?
Love it.
So and we're taking the literal as well as the ethereal aspect of it. We've got two awesome dream manifestation people, for lack of a better term, but it starts with the physical dreaming. So I love that. Get more and better sleep. Yeah, perfect. And it's going to improve your health, which is going to improve your personal life and your professional life. So it's wins all around. Nona,
Yeah.
goal?
Yes. So I would say I have a challenge for everyone to do at least 3 things per day, professionally or personally, that stretches you a little bit, that might scare you a little bit. So when you say, oh, instead of actually getting on the phone and calling this person, because I know a lot of people getting on the phone, I mean, I do it all day long, but a lot of people, I have a lot of clients because they don't like to do the phone calls. So instead of sending the email, get on the phone and do that phone call. Mail, 3 books a day in the mail to a potential buyer with like a handwritten note, or personally, like you said, if it scares you to, I don't know, walk around I don't know. I don't know what scares you personally, but something that stretches you a little bit every day, at least 3 things personally or professionally, that's either going to grow your business or grow yourself personally.
I love that. And I'm going to invoke the 5 of 7 rule, because I'm a firm believer if you say do things every day, you're going to get overwhelmed and get too ahead of yourself. So I say do 3 things a day that stretch you a little, but take the weekend off, or take a couple days off. If you're doing it, or do like Erik does, do 5 days in a row, you get to take 2 days. So if you can work ahead, but just keeping that in mind, even if it's just 1 or 2 things a day that stretches you, everybody's going to win, because you've got a message, you've got a story, you've got help to get out there. And it's not just giving of yourself is going to help others. So you're not even doing it for you. If you think about it, you're doing it to help more people. Mm-hmm. I think that makes it a lot easier. Just step out of that comfort zone. Okay, everybody's nodding again. Podcast listeners, honest, everybody is agreeing with each other, which is always I love these conversations, because with few exceptions, I bring people together who don't know each other. And I love it because everybody is like, yes, and agreeing. So building upon each other. So that's why I had so much fun with these, because we don't know. But I always like to change things up, and that way you all get to meet each other, and then your communities. So a lot of fun, especially when like this, it's just such a helpful, productive conversation, I think, for everyone. Please, friends, tell everyone where they can learn more about you. Erik?
Yeah, I mean, best place is to head on over to Beyond the ToDo List.com. That's where you can find my show. And we've got over 500 episodes over the past 11 years. You'll also be able to, I think, grab all my socials there. Primarily, I would go to either LinkedIn or Instagram and just go for ErikJFisher and connect with me there.
Awesome. And I will say that we will have that as well as your LinkedIn in the recap. I always put that because that's the best first, I think, for a lot of people, connection point. So I will put all your websites and your LinkedIn. So if you're listening and connecting, just add a little note that this is where you met air quotes. Nona, where can people learn more about you in your book and everything?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is probably the number one best place to find me, and then also my website as well. And I have calendar links on my website, and then if you email me or message me on LinkedIn, of course, I'll send you those as well. So if anyone ever wants to just have a one-on-one, like quick 15-30 minute conversation um, about life and goals and things and speaking or not speaking, whatever, I just like to meet everyone because you never know who knows someone and what kind of connection you'll create. So, yeah, message me on LinkedIn or you can go to my website as well at prather-marketing.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Michael, where can people learn more about you?
I suggest that they use my website, michaeleweissmanwrites.com, or Instagram, which is just at Michaele Weissman. And the secret is that my parents wanted a boy and they put an E on the end of Michael. So that's Michaele. And then it's Weissman with 2 S's. But, and you guys, I don't use LinkedIn very much. And you're kind of like creating a new goal for me because I guess I have to. That has to be a goal to get on, at least to get all my links onto LinkedIn. So thank you.
Yeah, my LinkedIn connection request to you, I think, has been pending for like 2 months. So.
Oh no.
Well, that will that makes sense. But I don't deny it.
I have something that I wrote on setting LinkedIn goals, so I will put it in the recap, and if you want, I will send it
to
you as well, because it can hit LinkedIn, which many people know that I love so much. It can take as much or as little time as you want, but no matter what you are doing, it's so important to have that professional place, because when we meet new people, what do? We check out their website and then we look them up on LinkedIn. They do that to us. So anyway, and as I said before, if you go to thedebmethod.com/blog, you can get the recap and these links. And if you want to learn more about me, obviously Deb at thedebmethod.com, or look at thedebmethod.com. And if you need a little bit of push on your goals, you can grab a copy of your goal guide at your favorite place to buy books. And of course, I am live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific, and you can subscribe at The Deb Method on YouTube and or your favorite podcast platform. Such a great conversation. I always feel so energized after I do these shows. I'm like, oh, I had great goals. Well, I love the energy, the enthusiasm, which is what this show is all about. So what final thought do you want to leave people with today? Nona?
Oh gosh. Don't let your goals scare you. If you want to move into the RV, do it. If you want to, there's no time like the better. People always say, I'm going to wait until the perfect time. There's never a perfect time to be happy and to change your life if you need to. So yeah, don't let your fears hold you back, and do the things that you want to do. Tackle those scary goals to get ahead and be happier.
Awesome. I love that so much. Michael, final thought.
I am going to ditto what Nona said, because now is the time. What we have is time, and we have this time, and we don't know what other time. And do it. Be kind to yourself. Take it in incremental steps, as Erik said, but don't delay. Do it today. Do it now. A little bit for yourself today.
Fantastic. And Erik, final thought to you.
I was going to say now's not the time to be contradictory, but I'm going to continue flowing with that. And I'm going to say maybe now isn't the time, but that doesn't mean don't write down that thing that you want to do, because now may not be the time, but soon might be the time. And go have a conversation with somebody that's a trusted friend or advisor, and tell them, so that they can continue to check in on you and say, when is the time? I have a mastermind person this morning that was just like, Erik, dude, you got to do this. And I'm like, I know. Now's not the time, but I'm trying to figure out when, and then make it happen. And then he's like, okay, yes, with what you're saying, now is not the time, but it is soon. And I'm like, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I love it. Soon may be the time, but keep your priorities, your goals in order, because you never know when yet becomes yet. Thank you so much, Erik, Nona, and Michael, for joining me today. And thank you for tuning in, whether you're watching This is Chat Live or the Deb Show podcast on the Marketing Podcast Network. We know the life that you want, that power is in your hands. So go on out there, go for it, because we know you can do it. Thanks, everyone. And again, a happy new year, and make it happen. That's it. Just make it happen. It all starts with that choice.